Hello. I just thought I would jump on and record a very quick tutorial just because I was about to do some pixel art, and something dawned on me. A tool that I use quite regularly when I'm trying to get perspective right is Sketchup. There's a free version of it now, just for getting perspective correct when you try to draw rooms where you've got things going off in the distance and you're maybe not totally confident with drawing in perspective. So I'm just going to quickly show a little bit of that really, and hopefully it'll be useful for some people, budding pixel artists, but anyone who's designing games as well and is not sure about perspective when they're trying to draw it. So what I'm going to do, if you watched livestream 3, you will have seen this incredible piece of pixel art being drawn. These are just placeholders for some of the rooms, and this was going to be the kitchen, and I was going to have it so the character came from the bottom, kind of like here where my cursor is, but I've actually decided against that, and I'm going to do it from a different angle, and it was actually in me trying to draw that angle that I suddenly thought, you know what, I'm going to grab SketchUp to help me work this out. So what I kind of wanted to do, or what I started doing, let's turn that off. I started thinking, right, I want to do it from a kind of lower perspective. I want to put the wall in here going off in the distance and kind of coming up here. I've been doing some kind of wacky perspectives anyway, but I kind of wanted the kitchen cabinets kind of here-ish. So I was just kind of blocking in the square edge of some kitchen cabinets and then trying to decide where they came from. And it gets a bit tricky, that perspective. Like you kind of start to put the door in that the character will come through. And if you're not really great at that, then doing it in 3D first, just as a guide, can be kind of handy because that stuff's really easy to do in SketchUp. So I'm going to quickly run through that. It should only be a couple of minutes, really. It won't be because they never turn into a couple of minutes, but I'll go as quick as I can. So we're going to kind of make something like that in SketchUp. So if you go to app.sketchup.com, there's a free version of it. You can just log in with your Google account and stuff, and you can create a blank scene and you'll get this little beardy guy with a dinosaur t-shirt and a ukulele, because of course you need one of them in every room. What I'm going to do, first thing I'm going to do is just grab one of my, the character sprite, just because it's going to help me in terms of the scale, because his body's not realistic. So I'm going to drag that, it's just a PNG, drop it onto here and import it as an image, and it'll want to lay it flat on the floor. That's fine for now. Just pop it on the floor. You can scale it. It's like a click and drag, and once it's on the floor, it's there as kind of an image in the scene. I'm going to hit Q to rotate and hit my cursor keys to rotate it in a particular axis and just stand him up. So it's just a billboard. S to scale. I'm just going to bring him down roughly so he's kind of human height. Obviously he's got a massive head and he's not got the proportions of human, but I just need something that's roughly the right size, so that I can use, he's called Clive if you haven't been following things, and I can move him about. That green axis is off in the distance. It's kind of middle mouse button to move around, so it's an actual 3D scene, and we're going to build a little 3D version of this kitchen around him, so we can get the scale of some things right, but then also move the camera, get the perspective right, and just export an image, or just use the snipping tool in Windows, grab that, dump it into a sprite, and that'll give us some guides to go from. So I'm just gonna whiz through doing that. It's not about building a really complicated 3D scene. Sketchup isn't great for that anyway. It's good for real basic stuff. So looking at the size of him, the kitchen, it's like a little staff kitchen in the back room of the office, so it's not like a huge space like this. It's something that he would probably take up about that much space in, I would say. So I'm going to click down a rectangle for the floor. He's going to be coming actually from a side door. If you'd seen some of the other live streams and things in a sprite, let me just load the office I've been loading too many different things by the looks of it. So there's sprite, locations, office. So this, I've done a time lapse of. The player's going to go up through this door into the kitchen. You can see the cabinets in the background there. But what I don't want to do is have them come from the bottom of the screen, which was what I was originally thinking with this basic layout, that they're going to come from the bottom. But I kind of want them to come in from the side. So we're going to view it from here, and he's going to come in through a door at that side. But what I'm going to do is just kind of flesh out the walls and things. There's lots of different ways to do that in SketchUp. One of them is just to drag a box up with P to pull, which is kind of roughly the size of the kitchen. And then I'm going to just click this wall and take it off. So you've got like a little box to put him in, which is going to help with the perspective. I mean, already you can move the camera around and you've got the correct vanishing point. This is using a proper perspective, like 3D renderer for that. This little beardy guy can go in a minute, but I'm leaving him there just so it gives you a bit of context for the scale. I'm just going to remove the roof for now, because it's going to help when we're looking into the room. What I'm going to do is just drop down a kitchen cabinet roughly, and I kind of want it L-shaped. And again, I'm looking at the size of Clive and going, well, if he was a real person, then a kitchen counter would maybe stick out about that much. He'd be able to lie down on it, I suppose. I'm just going to pull that up to about the height a kitchen counter would be. So just over kind of waist height. If you stand next to your kitchen counter at home, it'd be roughly right. It doesn't have to be exact. And then I kind of want it to come around the corner a little bit. So I'm just going to split that there on that edge and just pull that out a bit. So we've got like a little bit of a corner. And we'll decide how far that needs to go. But that little L-shaped kind of kitchen, we were kind of looking through a door here at that. So I'm just going to cut a door hole in there. So roughly, we can do it from either side really. But say the door's there and high enough for Clive to get through, of course. We can just select that and delete it. So you're kind of peeking through the door from the office. So that's the kind of view that we saw in Sprite in the office. So that's that door peeking in. So if you now look at that in, and then you can see the kitchen cabinets are going to be there. So that's kind of the form of the room, if you like. One thing that, like having it in a box like this, is also like a little bit boring. And it also means that when you're kind of looking in from this angle, which is kind of where we want it, I think something like that, because I want to be able to have some objects in the foreground here, access to some plugs, there's going to be some bins that are part of a puzzle, like a poster on the wall. These are all things I've thought about that want to be in this scene. It means this door's really slim, which is fine. I drew the scene with the door opening into the kitchen. So, I mean, that would mean that in this scene, the kitchen door will be sticking right back here. I might just change that in here and have it much further open. So it's not sticking into the scene so much, and it's not hidden from the other angle, but I can decide on that layer. It's the joy of the creative process. We can always change it. So what I'm going to do above these cabinets is put some cabinets on the wall. Again, loads of different ways to do this. There's so many SketchUp tutorials online. Just have a look at some of them. Actually, before I do that, what I should have done is made this a separate object, because I might be able to then... it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Let's just pull this up to where your top cabinets might be, and pull it up again because they'll go at the roof. And then I'm just going to delete out these faces here. And a couple of these construction lines that are unimportant. So I'm using the 3D nature of SketchUp just to block some of this out. Oops, didn't do that. Deleted the wall. I just want that little line there. So some of these construction lines might actually be helpful. And then, of course, kitchen cabinets don't come out the whole way. They kind of come out about halfway. So you've still got countertop without someone banging their head on it. And similarly with that one, I'm just going to push that back. And again, just to help with the drawing in Airspite, I'm going to split this in two. So it's got kind of two cabinet doors. I'm going to split this lot down the middle. I'm going to split it again there and there. I mean, we might end up putting, I mean, it's not going to be a cooker in a staff kitchen, but some little cabinets like that, we're getting the idea of a worktop. I could actually just pop the worktop up a bit and maybe pop it out a bit. Oops. Let's take that off. So that we've just got a little overhang as well. That might help with a bit of detail. And similarly with the cabinet doors underneath. So we're going to find the midpoint, split that, and we're going to find the midpoint of that new shape and split that. So really like just roughing in some lines that are going to help us when it comes to getting the perspective. So we've kind of got our kitchen units done there. There'll probably be a sink somewhere, so we might want to just drop in a bit of a sink area, and thinking about if we have camera angles here and we maybe have a puzzle that involves the sink, we want to be able to see it. So I think I'm going to put the sink at this end rather than over there in the corner or on this surface. This nice gap we've got maybe means we can have the door all the way open, and that might help people understand which way they've come in as well. So let's just cut a sink into that. Just very quickly, there's always a little gap at the back of the sink, there's a gap at the front of the sink, and we're just going to P for push and just push that into that other surface. Oops. That'll do, just to give me an idea of what that looks like. These are just going to be helpful guides, really. Yeah, so that's going to be really useful for the perspective. The other thing that we could do, I can remove this bitty guy now, I've got enough context to see that. I'm just going to copy the whole lot, just copy and paste it over here, because I'm thinking of a variant where it's not a square room like that, and we play with the angles a bit to open up this wall, because from this angle it's a really slim bit of wall, we can't really do much with it. So instead of having like a rectangle from above, what I'm going to do with this variant, just to try it out to see what it looks like, I'm going to take this line here and pull it out at a funny angle, snap it to there, oops, press the right key, and just skew the room a little bit so that it's not a square room. And already you can see from there, if I put the wall in the door in there, it's kind of opened it out, so you've got more wall to play with. You can see the door, we can maybe see a bit of the office graphics through there just to help frame where we are. So I'll fill in that corner. Let's just pop that on there. Oh, doesn't want to snap. Let's do it in two. That is not what I wanted. Sketchup is absolutely not what I wanted. Sketchup is great when it behaves itself, but sometimes it's putting things in an angle that you are not anticipating, like it's doing now. I mean, it wouldn't be a recording if I wasn't being shown up by it. What might have been more sensible is to leave the line there. There we go. I was looking for a reference point to clip it to. There are other views like front, top, left, right, like you'd get in Blender or Unity and things, but I like to try and do the hardware by the sounds of it. So let's just punch a door through there again, about there. So it's got room to open, the right height for Clive, right width for Clive, and then just punch that through. So now when you're sat in this perspective, you're not sure as a viewer whether it is a rectangular room and we're forcing the perspective out of it. Could have done it with the other wall, but it would be more trouble with the kitchen. But it means we can kind of frame the kitchen a little bit. So there's going to be more activity in the game on that kitchen. But you've still got quite a wide door, and you've actually got a bit of space here on the wall to add a bit of detail. So that's nice. I think that's enough. It's kind of blocked in as it needs to be. We'll take Clive out of this one. And all I'm going to do is just pull the camera into position and kind of just do a screenshot of that, I think, as the starting point. Just trying to find like an interesting angle, bearing in mind that our sprites aren't like top-down sprites or really low. I don't want to have to redraw the sprites, so something like that, where we've got a bit of floor, a bit of angle. That feels about right. I want some things down here in the foreground that are part of the puzzle. Might even pop a table or something in there, but I don't think. I used to use the full version of SketchUp years ago. This app version of it doesn't have as many tools, but you used to be able to in the camera section. It might be called views or something in here. Scenes, I think it's called. Add scene, right? So what that's saved this camera view. So then if I put a different camera view, which was like peeping through that door, and added a scene, you can switch between the scenes. So I can click that and it'll animate the camera back to the other one. So you can kind of save a couple of camera views that you like. Maybe that's a bit nice. It's got the ceiling in, and having the ceiling in these games is kind of handy because then you can show light and things. So it plus that's our scene. Camera saved. Just going to save that. Purge unused materials. Yeah. And this is all online. This app version of it, which is. I think you can just go export. Oh, no, it's not export. I think it's just save as. And you might be able, I don't know. Completely forgotten how you export. I'm just looking for a PNG, but I've forgotten. Download, there is. Download to me is the wrong word to use. It should be export. So download PNG of that camera. And you can see that's the PNG you're going to get. I'll have a little SketchUp watermark on it. That's not a problem. You can like pick which scene. You can do top views and everything like that. You can do a top view of it and a side view of it. So this might be really handy to help people who struggle a bit with working out what's going to go where. So that's the thing we're going to go with. Hit export PNG. That's done. So what I'm going to do is grab that. Take that kitchen PNG and drag it into Airsprite. So we've got our kitchen that we're working on. Create a new layer. Shift and N for a new layer. Let's just hide all of these and just drag that PNG in. So it's going to be really big, but we should be. Oh, don't know what it's doing there. We should be able to scale it. Grab it with the marquee. Scale that down. I don't know why it's made such a massive. This is where I prove myself. Oh no, of course. Sorry, it's loaded the PNG in separately, so we want to into its own file there. So we're going to select it all with the marquee tool, copy it, go back to our kitchen, which is the right size sprite. This is obviously massive, so we just want to scale that down so it fits our sprite. Doesn't matter if we squash and stretch it a little bit, but you can see how that's going to be really, really helpful. I think you can probably do in Airsprite some of the to keep some of them lines a bit cleaner. I'm sure there's a way to use a different scaling thing, or you could just export it from SketchUp with a smaller resolution in the first place, but that's fine for me. That's going to work perfectly, so I can start kind of drawing over that. So I think, again, I'm still learning Airsprite, but you can set a layer when you can lock it for one so that it's not in the way. If you want, you can double click it and change the opacity, so you can just fade it out so you can see what you're drawing over, but I think just locking it will be fine. You can convert it to a background, but I'm not entirely sure what the difference is if you go convert to background. I'm not sure what that does. I think it just doesn't get exported with other stuff. But either way, we've got that to start with now. And from there we can kind of start blocking things out. I might pop a, oops. There you go, you can't copy something below a background layer. Well then, I don't want it to be a background. What I sometimes do is just pop a layer in there and make it a solid colour. So that then I can take this, which I'm just going to call it 3D guide, and then just change the opacity of this, so it's just a nice starting point for me to draw over, lock those two, and then go from there. And then we can start with our kind of like blocking out of it, deciding what lines we're going to keep, which things we're going to have in place, and start our actual like pixel artwork from that position. And I'll probably I'll do a time lapse of this one, like starting from this 3D as a kind of good kick-off point for setting up a room with a bit of a crazy perspective. So yeah, hope that's been really helpful. Anyway, that's all that today was for, really, just a quick tutorial of how you can helpfully use something like Sketchup or any 3D package that's quick like that, just to block out your main perspective for the room before you start your pixel art. So I hope that's been really helpful. And yeah, please drop us a like, please follow on YouTube and subscribe, hit the little bell, and then you'll get notifications when other things come out. And yeah, thanks very much for watching.